If you just ask everyone who's on just to mute, that would be great. Fab, thank you for joining everyone. So welcome to the JD Williams Brand Bible session. I'm here today, so for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Laura, I'm the GM on JD Williams, and I'm here today with Becky, who's from our brand strategy team, Esme, who's the head of brand on JD Williams, giving you a wave, and Grace, who's our head of trade on JD Williams, giving you a little wave. So we're going to take you through the brand Bible today. Absolutely, by all means, feel free to ask questions. But if we could just ask that you drop it into the chat, and we'll, if they're easy to answer quick questions, we can probably get to them through the session. If there are things that maybe need a bit.
You've muted, Laura, sorry.
Oh.
Apologies. You're back in. It would have been just the last 5 seconds.
The last 5 seconds. So yeah, we'll get to many of the questions if they're quick and easy to answer during the session, if you pop them in the chat. But if they're a bit longer, we can come back to people after the session with follow-up answers. And for anyone who's got people in their teams that have not been able to attend today's session, we are going to record the session and pop it on Fabric, so you'll be able to see it there, or go back to it if you want. Okay, so we'll just get straight into it, I think. So to give a bit of background, I guess, from a JD Williams perspective, I think we are not reinventing now. We have done a bit of a reinvention. So over the last probably 12 to 18 months on JD Williams, I think about 18 months ago, we did a lot of work in making sure that we were really, really clear on what we were trying to be from an ambition point of view, but also who our target customer was. I think in the past, we have had quite a complicated perspective on that. I think we've tried to be quite a broad appeal sort of department store offering, and obviously targeting a lot of different customers in the past. So that we've had our traditional pots of customers that we've had. We have menswear on there. We had children's wear at one point, and we've been a lot of things to a lot of people. And I think what we have done is a lot of work to make sure that we're crystal clear what our ambition is for the brand, where we think our place is in the market, and where we think we've got opportunity to grow, and most importantly, who our target customer is. And I think hopefully at the end of this session, you guys will all come away with whatever touch points you have that helps us on JD Williams. You will be really clear on what we are trying to achieve, and also the customer that we're trying to serve. So in summary, I guess I have been through a lot of this, but I think we've set ourselves really up for a lot of success now. So we've done a lot of work, like I said, in the last year, really building up the brand. And I think now we have the confidence to further invest in the brand and really sort of go out to the market loud and proud about who we are. So I think that is absolutely about serving grown women. So that has not changed. That is where we have been for the last 12 to 18 months. You know that we've been out there with Davina and Amanda in the past. We used them to really put our stake in the ground around that grown woman. And we continue to build on that. So we've not shied away from speaking about all things midlife, and I think that's really the point of difference for us versus the market, that actually we really understand that woman, and we're not going to shy away or be embarrassed to talk about it. We're going to make her feel like she's front and centre of our brand. So that the Bible will basically help make us stay on that track and make sure that everyone that touches JD Williams, whatever department you work in, that we very single-mindedly stick to that plan and stick to that sort of target grown woman. So our ambition is we will be the UK's #1 fashion and lifestyle platform for grown women. And so that you'll see that ambition has not changed since I think we did the brand labs, which I can't even remember how long ago that was for anyone that was at them, quite a while ago. But that is still our absolute ambition. And you can see those two fabulous models that we've used really represent that. So in terms of the brand Bible, what is the brand Bible? So the brand Bible's there really is a tool that we can all use, which is our definitive word on that brand direction. And like I said, making sure that we're all pushing together in the same direction. So we don't veer from that. We don't try to do what we've done in the past, which is be a lot of things to a lot of different people, that we're really single-minded about that midlife woman, and we relentlessly serve her needs. And that allows us to remain that differentiated brand within the market. So that brand that does not veer from talking to that midlife woman. So during this session, we will talk to you a lot more about that customer, who she is and what she needs from us. We will talk to you a bit about our brand strategy, so how we're going to win and the sorts of levers that we're going to pull to make progress against that brand strategy and that ambition. And then we'll talk about our brand platform as well, so how we execute that strategy right now across our product, our service, our website, and all the communications that we send out to our customer. So this is our market map. So you can see here that our ambition is obviously to be an inspirational fashion and lifestyle platform for grown women. So you can see, if you can see on that map where Amazon is, obviously probably a very familiar brand logo for most of you, you'll see that JD Williams today is just sort of hovering slightly above Amazon to my right, if that is everyone else's right, I can't tell. And you can see there that it's probably slightly lower in terms of price point and slightly lower in terms of fashionability. And we're not making a giant move. So you can see that arrow is a very short arrow. It's not moving across a completely different quadrant on that market map. It's just moving slightly up on price and slightly up in terms of fashionability. And that's something that that's not new, and it's not something that we're going to change now. We've learned a lot over the last year that our customer's not necessarily looking for the cheapest price from us. She's looking for good value for money. And she really engages with what we call our better product. So that sort of middle range of product has worked really well, and also the access we provide to that better product, particularly through brands. So that's what sort of tips us up slightly from that lower price. And then we know, particularly within our women's wear and clothing categories, and in that fashion for the home, we are really trying to push that handwriting forward, which Grace will talk to you a little bit about, to really sort of up our fashion credentials, I guess. So we're never going to be a fashion leader, but we absolutely want to make sure that we reflect the trends and things that that customer would be looking for from a fashionability perspective. So quite useful at the top of this when you go back through the brand Bible is it just gives you a little bit of information about our share gain targets. So we absolutely want to be trying to take share from M&S. So M&S, we would say we would want to be more stylish than M&S, but what I would caveat that with is probably M&S of old, because I think everyone would probably agree if you've looked at M&S sort of over the last 12 months, they've really, really upped their game and made a sort of quite a big step forward in their product offering and how they bring that to life for their customers. So I think they're definitely a share gain for us to keep really close to. And Next is the other one as well. And then we take what we call aesthetic cues. So I guess this is probably more around, I suppose, from a sort of taste level, I guess, and a sort of inspiration, how we pull our look and feel together from Mint Velvet. So Mint Velvet's obviously quite a nice sort of grown up lifestyle brand. And I think they bring their sort of product to life in a really nice, accessible, but stylish ways to wear for their customers. So I think that that's a good sort of taste level cue that we just keep quite close to as well. So now I think I'm going to hand you over to Becky, who's going to tell you all about our very precious, lovely customer.
Hi everyone. So yeah, as Laura says, in the section I'll go through, it's all about our target customer for JD Williams, aka Julie, what she's all about, what she's looking for from a fashion and lifestyle brand, and why she's not shopping with JD Williams today. So our target customer for JD Williams is a grown woman aged 45 to 65 who seeks style and value. So we'll come on to talk about how Julie describes her style, but we'll pause on value for money. Obviously, very topical, means different things for different target customers. For Julie, there are three key drivers that we should remember. So first and foremost, fair price. So as Laura was saying, it's not cheap price, it's a fair price for the quality that she's paying. Secondly, uniqueness. So she's really looking for a brand that does something a bit different, that inspires her and has a range that's right for her in her age group. And then thirdly, quality. So fabric that flatters, material, durability, it's standing the test of time and standing the washing machine. That's really what Julie's looking for. So fair price, uniqueness, and quality. To bring our target customer to life further, we'd like you to meet Julie. So Julie is the face of our pen portrait, and pen portrait just basically means an overview of the ideal target customer that we're seeking to attract. So all the stats and facts on Julie live at the back of the brand Bible, guys, and the source majority of data is Kantar TGI. So Kantar survey hundreds of thousands of people on a range of subjects on a regular basis. So we go to them and not just filter on age and gender, but we can also look at women that are price conscious, that are seeking style. And then what we then see from the results is all of the kind of traits and behaviours of that group and how they compare versus the nation. So we can see where the big opportunity is really. So as I say, all the stats and facts are in the brand Bible. There's a bit of a bio here in a nutshell. So Kantar say the kind of typical age is age 50. So I think that's helpful. We've got a broad kind of spectrum of 45 to 65 to know kind of who we're kind of designing for is that 50-year-old woman. Even at that young age, Kantar say that there's probably more so ones that Julie's that are not working. Either they've kind of fell into early retirement because they've been in between jobs, they might be looking after others, but even in spite of that, she's by no means slowing down. She's very much the CEO of her world, and there are still a large majority that are working, but if they are, they're more likely to be working part-time. In terms of family, Kantar say that she's typically living and married with a partner. She's got children, they say most of them have either left home, or if she has got some that are at home, they're likely to be 15 plus. In replace of those children, they very much have a dog that they treat like a replacement child. She's very big into the dog, is Julie. She takes a lot of pride in her appearance, so from her clothing to beauty. So she talks about investing in skincare, liking and experimenting with makeup, but makeup that looks natural. She talks about her fragrance. She likes how to wear a fragrance that expresses her personality, and very much looking after the home as well. Takes a lot of pride in the home. One of these women that lights candles every night, not just when people are coming round. As a person, we say she's very much a fixer, strong moral compass, someone you'd want on your side going into battle with an argument, and you'd go to for any advice. What else do we say? And also that kind of woman that you'd probably tell your life story to without meaning to. So if you know a Julie, put a Y in the chat. Bit of interaction here, Hannah. I'm just throwing this in now. Learn from the on trend. So yeah, so they ask for this, guys, so yeah, really familiarise yourself if you haven't already with that pen portrait. There's other things in there like how often she spends online, how much she claims to spend on certain categories. And if you've got any questions, any grey areas, you want to know more, please get in touch. So Julie's key tension is that she doesn't feel represented in the high street. She feels like there's no one brand that are really inspiring or serving her or showing her in a positive light until now. So these are her needs as a person, as a shopper. So firstly, age relevant style. When we speak to Julie, we say kind of describe your style. She's very much kind of says like, you know, I'm not like a big follower of like fashion trends, but I just want to look relevant and stylish. I know my style, I know what suits me. So it tends to be more kind of classic, timeless styles with a bit of a modern twist. So Anthology, really great example of that. She also as well is kind of looking for a brand to give her that permission to wear, because she's in that stage where she doesn't want to look too young, she doesn't want to look old and fuddy-duddy. So like talent like Gok is perfect, because it's saying like, this is what will look great on your age group, this is what will keep you relevant and stylish. So other things we can do is kind of using models that are relatable to her, but also as well aspirational. Fit is a big need for her, so that helps with quality, helps with her confidence. So it's got to be fit that flatters her shape. Affordability and credit. These women very, very savvy with the finances, budget for every penny. As we said, either kind of saving for retirement if they're not retired already, looking after the family, saving for holidays and things. She does over-index in using credit more so than the nation. She also over-indexes in using, I can never say this word, plethora, a broad spectrum of different credit providers, from your likes of Klarna, PayPal, N3, ClearPay, Laybuy, etc. She does use store credit as well, but I think the watch out for us is that she is cautious on interest, having been burnt in the past. So we really need to help her feel in control. It's all about kind of conveying the process, making that quite tangible for her language that's friendly, so she feels like she's making an informed decision and that she's in control of her finances. So moving on to the right side, so she's at an age in her life where she knows herself, she knows her own mind, so she wants to be her own person. She likes to be kept up to date, so we say from the news to the neighbours, very much au fait with what's going on in her community, in her world. Very much saying that she's kind of like the WhatsApp admin, that kind of person where you text her, it's instantly blue tick and Julie is typing. So yeah, she really likes to be kept up to date. And then last but by no means least, navigating change. So, you know, when we speak to these women, a lot of them are menopausal, but they've got loads of other things going on in their lives. So either, you know, kind of the kids are moving on, maybe that the parents now are becoming a bit more dependent and they're having to be parents for their parents, a lot going on with the home, potentially downsizing, or as we say, like maybe thinking about retirement, going part-time, etc. There's a lot of plates to spin, and she wants to feel in control of that. So last two slides from me. This is just a summary of what we've gone through. So she knows what she wants in life. She's at the heart of it all. She wants affordable style. She craves inspiration, and she's seeking her own look. And then in that black rounder, which you won't be able to see on these small screens, is some nuggets that are not valuable credit customers. So she desires products now without paying in full upfront, but again, she'll see that as her being savvy with the finances, being in control. They tend to be of lower affluence, so the typical household income for Julie's in the broad main is 37 to 40k, but it is less than that those that tend to use credit more, so just something to be mindful of. She often has limited finances at the end of each month. Buy now, pay later helps her to manage a budget, but again, she can be cautious about credit, so it's how we help her overcome that. And then lastly, when we speak to Julies that are not shopping with JD Williams today, these are the three key barriers that we need to overcome. So firstly, perception style-wise that we're going to be for older women, not for her. So obviously we need to convince her otherwise with our great range. From a cost perspective, not feeling like we might offer a value for money. So again, fair price, uniqueness and quality are the big drivers there. And last but by no means least, awareness. And this has come on a lot in the last few years. So more people are aware of JD Williams, but you know, they might think, oh, is that a catalogue, or were they used to be available in Debenhams, John Lewis? So it's all about kind of raising visibility and raising awareness that, you know, we're that fashion and lifestyle store online. We've got all these great things for her. So that's it from me, and I think I'm handing back on to Laura.
So how are we going to win with Julie? So this just takes us through the role that we all play in terms of making sure Julie knows who we are and wants to shop with us. So it's really invitation and access to the extraordinary. So there's a bold statement that we heard one. But we want her to feel like she's accessing products she couldn't get anywhere else. And I think this one's all caused a lot of debate over the years with the team, because I think we've got our fabulous own label products across multiple categories, but we also sell a lot of brands that are obviously freely available elsewhere. But I think the key thing there is we've got a great own label proposition, but our access points, so the fact that we have our credit option, is really how we enable her to access some brands that she potentially wouldn't be able to buy through other retailers. Or that we sort of curate the range that we get from those brands specifically for her. So that's sort of our take on the access to product that she couldn't get elsewhere. And we really want to focus on, so this is something that I think we've made a bit of progress on, but really are upping the ante on this year, is driving an emotional connection. So being that pioneering voice on all things midlife, which Ez will talk to you in a lot more detail about, but I think it's really making sure that they don't just shop with us once, that we really start to stick with that target customer as a brand that really, really understands me as a person. So that's what we want to drive for from a connection perspective. So our 3 points of difference. So curation, that's how we basically make our offer on the site be really accessible for her. So make it feel like it's really, really been selected and chosen to respond to the moments that matter to her in her life. So Becky obviously talked about someone that's the CEO of her world. We know that, you know, sort of having her family and friends around her, socialising, those big moments and the holidays and things that you plan for Christmas, they're really, really key for her. And I think what we want to do is take what is quite a broad product offer and make that really easily understood to her in terms of, I want to shop for my holiday, help me find what I need. I want to have an amazing Christmas, how do I do that? So we really will want to play the editor for her in terms of taking the product that we sell and really sort of boiling it down to make it feel really relevant, that it connects with the things that are important to her. Unique brands, so our own label. I am probably quite badly modelling Anthology today. So that's obviously one of our lovely own label women's wear brands. But we've got lots of amazing own label product. We've made such a move forward with that over the last couple of years. But we've also got those carefully selected third-party brands that I mentioned. So that is either brands that she's never heard of. It could be how we edit those brands to make it feel relevant to her. And it could be through that accessibility point, which is the third one there. It's how do we allow our credit offer to make sure that she can buy all that amazing product. On the brands perspective, probably still a bit of Gracie's thunder, but we have got a very exciting brand launch coming in the autumn, which is Sweaty Betty. So for any of the ladies out there, I'm sure you'd be very excitedly looking forward to that. But that's just an example of where now, I think as we have grown our brand proposition, really credible brands like Sweaty Betty are more than happy to work with that with us now. And I think a big part of that was our amazing sort of midlife fitness wellness campaign that we did in January. You know, we took that to Sweaty Betty and showed them this is what we can do, and this is the customer that we speak to. And quite honestly, they were quite easy to convince. So there we go. So yeah, onwards and upwards with more brand introductions, but that's just an example of another great brand that we're going to launch in the autumn. And then finally from me, I think it is how we execute this. So we've got these touch points. We talked to voice, offer, place and behaviour. And the detail on this slide is basically sort of saying how we execute these things. So voice is how we talk to our customers. So that's really what I've talked to around those curation points, how we really bring those moments that matter to her to life. So things like holiday shops, things like how we launch our Christmas shop to her and help her make that period really easy. Easter, all those moments that we know matter to her. It's how we pull that together and talk to her really clearly about that. Our offer is again a bit around the collections of the products that we sell to make sure that we inspire her with that product. we're really clear on our pricing. So actually, is it a brilliant price for something? We want to call that out. Is it a bit more expensive like Anthology? But actually we talk to her about that product because it's an investment piece. It's something that she can wear again and again and again, and it's seasonless, and she'll be able to bring it back out, you know, next autumn and wear it again. All supported by credit that allows that to us to make that product accessible. Places where we show up for the customer. So I think this is something that Grace will touch on. I think we obviously are on a journey with that. We're moving forward towards new front end, which will be, you know, a massive change for JD Williams. But I think we really don't want to be as broad a platform as we probably appear now. So I think there's still a lot of work for us to do on the site in terms of how we navigate around it. We've got, you know, big drop-down menus, etc. We still present ourselves a bit like a very broad department store, and I think that's what we're sort of working on, a roadmap with a lot of support from DT on how, and other sort of departments, and SEO massively help us with that. UX have been helping us with that, but how we sort of move away from that really broad brush platform to a sort of a website that really helps her navigate those moments and discover products and things she didn't even know she wanted. So something that's a bit more interesting than just a really broad brush sort of department store, I guess. And then behaviour is how we treat and serve our customers. So I think that's really around a lot of work we've been doing on our service proposition. So, you know, we've done a lot of work around things like delivery subscription. We know that really resonates with her. We have click and collect and free returns. We know, again, they're quite compelling offers for her. We've reviewed that click and collect pricing and given her a free option. And we are imminently about to offer next day click and collect, which again is another great thing to add into that sort of service proposition for that customer and makes it a lot more convenient for her. So I'm now going to hand you over to Ez to talk all about our brand platform.
Hi guys, so I'm going to talk you through brand voice. Thanks. So at JD Williams, we're going to do something that no other retailer has attempted to do. We're going to celebrate midlife as multifaceted. You'll have all realised that recently, led by Davina and other celebrities, there's been lots of media conversation about menopause, which is a really important conversation to be had, but it's not the only conversation to be had about midlife women. And when we talk to our midlife women in research, they say menopause is a really interesting and valuable conversation and it needs to be normalised, but it's actually the least interesting thing about us. There's so much more to love about midlife women. We are, as a retailer, going to drive hair reappraisal, and as you heard Becky and Laura talk about the fact that currently JD Williams, for women who aren't shopping with us, or Julies who aren't shopping with us, we're just not on their radar because they might have dismissed us as a store or a catalogue brand for older women and women who don't care about fashion. So we're going to really try and drive hair reappraisal in us to get her to shop with us. But we're also going to drive the world's reappraisal in what it is to be a midlife woman too. And I'm going to take you through that now. So what we're doing is we're going to flip the script on midlife. So we're going to lean into changing the narrative around midlife, positioning it as something celebratory and as something to be desired and not feared. And I'll talk to you about that now. So you will have seen in all of our campaigns, we've been leading with a myth-busting narrative. So really trying to change attitudes around midlife. When we talk to our women in research, they tell us that they don't feel validated or celebrated by the fashion and beauty industry particularly. She feels invisible, and I know Becky talked about that before. She feels marginalised and excluded from the fashion conversation, and actually doesn't feel like fashion brands are interested in wooing her, which is a shame because a lot of our women have actually got more disposable income than women with younger children. Not all of them, but some of them. She's not seen in celebratory comms, so our women tell us that yes, she sees herself in Oxo Stock Cube adverts, or she might see herself in anything to do with kind of scenes of domestic drudgery, but she's actually saying, you know, I want to see myself celebrated and validated, and that's what we're here to do. There's a lot of myths around midlife women. I'm just going to talk to you about some of them. that once women have children, they kind of all they do is, when they get to midlife is crave the presence of grandchildren. That might be true for some women, but for other women, it's certainly not true. They don't care about how they look. Women who reach midlife have to have their hair cut short and kind of get this midlife uniform of kind of grey slacks and a sensible jumper. That's certainly not true either. They're not interested in feeling desirable or sexy. That isn't true either. They have to dress age appropriately, and then that they have to fight the aging process. So there's something shameful about aging, and of course there's nothing shameful about aging at all. So we're here for JD Williams to stand side by side with midlife women and to show them that we get them. So that emotional connection that Laura talked about before, that's how we think we're going to drive it, by actually saying, hey, we see you, we're going to celebrate you, and we're only going to design our store for you and you only. And that's an important context in that competitive map that Laura showed you earlier. All of our competition are generalists. So what they're doing is, you'll notice that Marks and Spencer's have started to use younger and younger models in their shop window. Midlife women in research tell us, actually I used to feel catered for by Marks and Spencer's, but now I just feel like they're wooing the younger woman too. There's nowhere on the high street for me to shop where a retailer really single-mindedly designs an offer just for me. And that's what we're going to do with JD Williams. So you'll have seen, this is the other one.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry. You'll have seen, and again, that's it. That we launched last year with a new creative strategy on JD Williams, where we've really leaned into our age specialism, and we've really celebrated the midlife woman, or the grown woman, that Becky spoke about earlier on. We're going to continue this year, so we're just about a week and a half away from launching our summer campaigns and moving on from the Sky campaign that you'll have seen with Judy and Helen Skelton, Judy Love, Helen Skelton, Lagokwan. And we come off air on the 9th of May, and on the 10th of May, we're going to launch with a new iteration of this campaign, which is leaning into our midlife specialism with the line, admit it, this age thing suits you. And like we did, and this creative is from summer 23, so last year, we're going to revive this with new models and fresh thinking. And this time we're going to be much more impactful and much more confident in our age specialism and our expression about our single-minded pursuit of satisfying the needs of a midlife woman. So I think that's it. So that's coming, that launches on the 10th of May. That's going to be right the way through May, all the way into June, and right through to the end of June, with a new burst of creative in June as well, to really kind of celebrate our new range of summer clothing. I'm really excited to be able to show you that in about a week and a half. It looks amazing, at risk of marking our own homework, but it really does. So the three things I really want you to take out of this slide is all about delivering. Sorry, I can go back to the.
Sorry, guys, this is my bad.
Delivering inspiration. So it's really important, particularly in the context of finding our woman and trying to woo the women who are currently rejecting us, that we have to inspire her. And we have to drive an understanding of all of the beautiful range of product we sell. So we might be just considered as a fashion brand, and fashion is really important, and it's what we're going to go to her with first and foremost. But also, particularly at times in Christmas, she might consider a broader offer like furniture and tech that become more relevant. It's really important that we create the desire and we force reappraisal. We get her to sit up and reconsider us and to say, who knew JD Williams sells all this marvellous stuff? The other thing, and Laura talked about, is about connecting emotionally with her by showing her that we really understand her and we're really single-minded in our pursuit of her. We hope to really connect emotionally with her so that she feels the same way about JD Williams as a lot of these midlife women feel about John Lewis, where women go glassy-eyed and kind of almost kind of fill up at the idea of shopping at John Lewis. We want them to feel that way about us at JD Williams too. And then we touched on it both in Laura and Becky's conversations earlier about the importance of facilitating ways to pay. So we know that for a lot of our women who might be working part-time now, or who might be caring for older parents, sometimes she'll need to spread the cost to make life more affordable. So it's really important that we signpost affordable ways to pay so she can make life a little bit more affordable by shopping at JD Williams too. So finally, we've identified what we need to say to her and what we're going to be talking to her about moving forwards. But how do we find out? So in short, the JD Williams woman is quite expensive to reach because she's still very wedded to traditional TV. So live TV, what we describe as linear television. So that's TV that's live on a Saturday night and throughout the course of the day. Becky spoke about the fact that she's often part-time. So daytime television is a good place to find her because not all of our women will be working the kind of 9 to 5. So programmes like This Morning and Loose Women, Cash in the Attic, all of those wonderful programmes, and Lorraine are really good places to find her. And we often buy spots or buy TV ad break space within those programmes. And also we often place ads in what we call shining floor programming. So they're those kind of really heroic spots on a Saturday night, the likes of Britain's Got Talent, for example, that's live now, really over-indexes with our audience, as well as things like Saturday Night Takeaway. We'll often try and find spots there, but they're very expensive because they reach our women en masse. And they also really force brand reappraisal. So we know that when we turn up in those spots, she really thinks differently about us, and the presence of our brand within those heroic programmes really kind of forces her to sit up and take notice of us and consider us differently. In addition, the type of talent we use are also really important. Laura spoke earlier on about the importance of Davina and Amanda when we were establishing our age specialism in signposting, who we were going to design our shop for. And similarly, Gok, we know now, is a hero for a lot of our women. It's important to note that we're using a lot of our customer panel to talk to our women about who we should work with next. And that's where kind of Gok came up as a person that we should be working with moving forwards. And there's some exciting news, but I won't share that just yet. I'll keep it under my hat. I'm going to hand you over now to Grace, who's going to talk about the product.
Perfect. So within the how now, we're looking at what we offer, which is obviously our product proposition. And our buying and merchandising teams have done a really great piece of strategy work looking over the next 3 years that really tries to address some of those pinch points around uniqueness, fair price, and really giving the midlife woman what she wants. And this is across both our fashion and our home offering to really lean into that lifestyle platform ambition that we have. Laura spoke to it earlier, but aspirationally within our own label, we are leaning towards the likes of Mint Velvets and a Massimo Dutti. They are brands that will address trends in season, but actually they do those classic styles really, really well. And we know that that's super important to Julie. And alongside that, again, as we've spoken to, third-party brands become really important. So whether that is putting a brand in front of her, like Sweaty Betty, that maybe doesn't feel as accessible, or working with our brands to come up with a curated offering that really ties into that midlife experience. Within women's fashion, we are looking to grow that branded proposition. But what we're also trying to do is lean into that curation that the team have spoken to. So within intimates and footwear, we're actually looking to curate and possibly scale back some of that offering with our mix of branded and own label, because we want to make the shopping experience as easy for her as possible. And we do want to be that editor, as Laura's spoken to. Within home, you may have noticed that some of our more historic brands, so Juniper, Joanna Hope and Grey Osborne, have had a bit of a glow up. So we've got some really great newness coming through on home that really leans into that fashionability and that point that, Julie wants you to come round and compliment her on the fact that she's got seasonally relevant pillows because it's Easter or because it's winter. So we're really trying to tap into different home styles and talking about fashion for the home as part of that proposition. And you will also see that glow up for Joanna Hope and Juniper continue into our women's wear ranges as well. On the screen here to the right, you'll see that we're talking about our famous four categories, and that's something that all of our brands have. But for JD Williams, our famous four are tops, dresses and lingerie. And they are categories where we kind of have a proven record of giving the customer what she wants in terms of price, quality and fit. So for our Julie, we are trusted within these categories, and we're also seeing some opportunity categories come through as well. So with those famous four, what it means is that we treat them slightly differently. So these are areas where we will focus our injections of newness. It's where we will try and innovate a bit more, and it's where we really focus availability as well. Value. We've spoken to value. Value means different things for different customers. And I think a really interesting move on that we're seeing from Julie is that value is actually around that fair price rather than cheap price, as Becky has spoken to. And with that comes an element of quality. So we aren't changing our pricing policy, which for those who might not know, typically means we are around 10% lower than Next or M&S at a total level. But we are wanting to be competitive with our entry level products. We don't want to be the cheapest, but we want to make sure we're competitive. And actually, we want to have a bit of a shift into our better product. So we aren't just trying to sell her these lower price point basics. We're trying to give her quality and value through a better product. And you'll see that in things like our anthology ranges that have come through, which absolutely gorgeous, modelled lovely by Laura, as she said. But one that's resonated really well. And I think it was us really taking a punch at giving our customer something different. And it was a really successful launch for us and something that we're continuing with. So a great example of where we're understanding a little bit more about what value does mean for our customer. Just some more of the headlines coming out of the strategy. So we are looking to grow our full price mix, and we're actually looking to reduce our total range mix while we're trying to grow demand. As we've mentioned, we are trying to edit more and give more of a curated offering. So our total range will actually reduce from around sort of 43,000 styles to 27,000 styles sort of over the next 3 years. So what that actually means is we're still going to have a huge volume of product for the customer. We'll have everything she wants, but we've been more edited in what we're putting in front of her. And I think the next piece within that is what we really need to do is right size the lifestyle proposition. So where we're making these changes to sort of really curate our fashion offering and really put sort of trend and quality in front of that midlife woman, we also need to make sure we give her an option to shop home and tech at the right times, build on our beauty proposition, which you know is an opportunity. And as has spoken to, that holistic lifestyle, moments that matter, and understanding that different moments come with a different product offering will continue to be important across our strategy. Perfect. And now we move on to Place. So Place, in short, is the website, but in slightly longer terms, it's kind of how we show up for her, where we show up for her, and how we influence that experience. So, you know, I think the biggest change that Laura spoke to, we know is coming, is the move to new front end. And so we are going to be going onto a strategic CMS, which for all of the lovely DT technical reasons does mean we'll have a more optimal customer journey in terms of things like site speed. But it also gives us a really great point to take a step back and say, are we putting the right things in front of our customer? How easy is their shopping experience? And are there things we can do to drive inspiration? So our ambition is to drive online spaces that inspire and excite her. And what we need to do is take everything Ed has said from a voice perspective. So myth busting, expert, inspirational storytelling. And we need to translate that into what is essentially a transactional environment. You know, this isn't necessarily the sexy part of how we're going to deliver it to her. It is the transactional element. But there are ways that we can still make sure that this is an experience that she enjoys. So we want to become a place for inspiration, a go-to lifestyle destination, and a place that makes her money go further. And as we've spoken to, that comes from both our credit proposition and also the quality and value of the product that we're giving her. We're going to do this through a lot of cross-functional collaboration. I'm not sure if the DT and UX teams love working with us or are completely sick of us already, but there's already been great progress made. You know, we've just gone through some of the strategy work from the product teams as well. So some real examples of how we can all come together to give Julie what she wants. But we want to focus on putting the right products in front of her at the right time and making sure that they're easy to find. We want to inspire her at all touch points throughout the customer journey. And we want to lean into that midlife expertise. So that's going back to that unique brands and age relevant styles. And now on to sort of behaviour. So Laura spoke to this earlier. I think probably the big one within this that we all know about is our credit proposition. But when we talk about behaviour, it's that kind of overarching service proposition. So this leans into delivery, it leans into returns, it leans into things like delivery subscriptions, our JDW Rewards loyalty program, and of course credit. I think credit is core to our offering, and as the guys have spoken to, there's a level of accessibility that this creates, and it is really our point of difference that we are going after a customer and giving her what she wants at a price that she can afford in a way that she's comfortable with paying. And it really does, to go on to that big statement that we said earlier, makes the extraordinary accessible. And I think with credit, we all know, I'm sure we've all done our mandatory learning sessions. There is a lot within the credit journey that we need to follow from a compliance perspective to make sure that we are treating our customers fairly. But also there's a lot that we can do to then really tailor that journey to Julie. So how does Julie like to be communicated with, and what is important for her within this credit proposition? From a loyalty perspective, as I mentioned, we have JDW rewards, and we've seen some really great insight from our customers that she wants to feel valued, and we know that uniqueness is important. And what we're really trying to do with that rewards platform is give that to her. So we're trying to make her feel valued by giving her unique offers, unique experiences, and unique content within that platform. And then finally, we've got sort of the delivery and return side of it. And I think this is quite important, that as the final point, I guess, of this step before we wrap up and answer any questions, we really have to think of the full customer journey. So when she sees us on a Saturday night watching television through to when she has the products in her hand, all of that journey is going to impact how Julie feels about us and how we drive that emotional connection. So our delivery and returns processes is kind of as important as the storytelling we put in front of her on site, which is another great example of how we can work cross-functionally to give Julie what she wants.
Wow. I'll stop sharing.
So I think at the back of the brand Bible is all the facts and figures. That sounds very sexy, but then you can look at those at your leisure. There's lots and lots of great information in there that gives a lot more sort of factual detail behind some of what we've talked through today. I think, to suppose just to sum up, what I would say is, front and foremost, please remember Julie. Do not forget about Julie. We all talk about Julie day in, day out. So that is really our key, absolute target, most important customer is Julie, that modern grown woman. But I think the easiest way I always find to think about Julie is she's the CEO of her world. So she has everything going on around her, moments that matter, really important to her. And I think if I could ask anyone to take away 3 things and really think about in the roles that you all play in your areas of expertise, if you think of anything that can help us deliver these 3 things, then please come to us with those ideas. So that would be to deliver inspiration, to connect emotionally with Julie, and to make the extraordinary accessible. So those are really our 3 things that will help us win with Julie. But thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you got a lot out of the session. Feel free, I think there was 1 question in the chat, but if anyone else has any other questions, please drop them in. And we will come back to you. And like I said, feel free to come to us as a brand team. We'd love to hear from you. If there's things you see on the site you think we could be doing differently, doing better, or any ideas that you have that would help us deliver on those 3 things, then by all means, please reach out to us. But thanks for joining, and have a great rest of the day. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.